The stage at America's Got Talent has seen thousands of performers, but on this particular night, something felt different. As the lights dimmed and the familiar AGT theme echoed around the arena, the audience leaned forward with anticipation. Among the many contestants waiting backstage was a Filipino teen, quiet, humble, and almost unnoticed, yet carrying a spark inside him that even he didn't fully understand. He stepped onto the brightly lit stage with slow, careful steps, his hands gripping the microphone as though it were the only thing holding him steady. His heart raced, pounding loud enough that he felt the judges might hear it. From the audience's perspective, he looked nervous but determined. From the judges' table, Simon Cowell raised an eyebrow, sensing something intriguing about the teen's silent confidence. Heidi offered a warm smile of encouragement, while Howie gave a playful nod. Even the crowd, usually chatty before a performance, had fallen unusually quiet, drawn by the mystery surrounding this young contestant. When his name and age were announced, the teen spoke softly into the mic. His voice was gentle, almost shy, revealing a humility that instantly made people root for him. But it wasn't until Simon asked, "So, what will you be performing tonight?" that the first ripple of excitement moved through the room. The teen took a breath and replied, "I'll be singing an Elvis Presley classic." The name Elvis alone sent a buzz across the studio. Some audience members whispered doubts, while others smiled in anticipation. After all, covering Elvis was bold for anyone, let alone a teenager. As the background music prepared to start, the teen closed his eyes for a split second. In that moment, he wasn't thinking about the cameras, the judges, or the millions of viewers. He thought about his family back home, the nights he practiced in his small room, and how he dreamed of this moment but never believed it would come true. He promised himself that no matter what happened, he would give everything he had. Then the first note dropped. The sound that came from his mouth was like a spark that lit the entire arena. Deep, rich, and shockingly similar to Elvis himself, his voice made the audience gasp. The transformation was instant, his nervousness dissolved, his shoulders relaxed, and he stepped closer to the edge of the stage as though he belonged there. The judges glanced at each other, their expressions shifting from skepticism to awe. The Filipino teen wasn't just singing. He was channeling a legend. And everyone in the room could feel it. In less than 10 seconds, the audience realized they were witnessing the beginning of something extraordinary, a performance that would soon make Simon Cowell utter the now famous word. The moment the Filipino teen began to sing, the atmosphere inside the AGT arena shifted completely, as if time slowed down to make space for something remarkable. His voice, surprisingly mature for his age, filled the hall with a tone so rich and controlled that it made people instinctively fall silent. The deep Elvis-like resonance vibrated through the speakers, catching everyone off guard. What began as curiosity quickly turned into shock. Halfway through the first verse, the teen hit a powerful, nostalgic Elvis note that carried the same emotional weight as the king of rock and roll himself. The note soared smoothly, wrapped in perfect pitch and confidence. It didn't just sound similar to Elvis, it carried the spirit, the golden era warmth, the charisma that defined an entire generation of music. The crowd reacted instantly, gasps and surprised murmurs spread like ripples across the room. The judges were no different. Heidi placed a hand over her heart, visibly stunned. Howie leaned so far forward in his seat he looked like he might stand up at any moment. But the most striking reaction came from Simon Cowell. Known for his tough standards and his ability to spot real talent within seconds, Simon slowly lowered the pen he had been holding. His eyes locked on the teen with an expression that was a mix of disbelief and admiration. He didn't blink. He didn't move. He just listened. As the performance grew stronger, the teen started to shed the last bits of nervousness. His feet began to shift naturally, syncing perfectly with the rhythm. His shoulders loosened, his facial expressions sharpened, and his voice became even more controlled. He wasn't just performing a song. He was giving the audience a glimpse of what it might have felt like to watch Elvis Presley perform live. Cameras zoomed in on the audience, mouths open, eyes wide, hands flying to cover faces as people tried to process what they were hearing. Some stood up without meaning to, drawn by the sheer power of the teen's voice. A few fans waved their hands rhythmically, caught up in the magic of the moment. The orchestra behind him followed his lead flawlessly, amplifying the rising intensity of the performance. And as the teen approached the chorus, the room braced itself. He hit the high point with perfect precision. The note landed like a meteor, explosive, sharp, unforgettable. This was the moment that sealed the judge's reaction. Simon leaned in and quietly mouthed a single word as the cameras captured it perfectly. Unbelievable. That whisper would soon become the most replayed moment of the episode. And the performance wasn't even over yet. As the Filipino teen approached the final moments of his performance, the entire AGT arena felt charged, almost electric. Every note he delivered pulled the audience deeper into the nostalgia of Elvis Presley's golden era, yet carried the fresh fire of youth and raw talent. The orchestra softened slightly, giving space for the teen's voice to shine in the final line. He closed his eyes, poured every ounce of emotion into the last note, and held it with flawless control. The moment the note ended, the hall did not respond immediately. There was a split second of stunned silence, like everyone needed a breath to understand what they had just witnessed. And then it happened. The entire room exploded. Cheers thundered through the arena, rising like a wave from the front rows all the way to the highest seats. People stood up in unison, some clapping wildly, others screaming in excitement. A few even wiped tears from their eyes. It wasn't just applause, it was a celebration, a roaring acknowledgement that they had witnessed something extraordinary. The teen froze on stage, overwhelmed. His eyes widened, his hands trembled, and a small smile broke across his face. For a moment, he looked like a young boy again, humble, emotional, and shocked at the reaction he was receiving. He placed one hand over his mouth, trying to hold back tears. At the judges' table, all 4 judges stood up, giving him a powerful standing ovation. Heidi nodded proudly, her eyes shining. Sophia clapped with a huge smile, visibly impressed. Howie raised his hands high, cheering like he was watching a superstar performance. But the camera, of course, focused on Simon Cowell. Simon stood slowly, almost dramatically, his eyes fixed on the teen with that unmistakable look of professional amazement. He didn't clap at first, his reaction was deeper than a simple applause. He just stared, absorbing the moment, the voice, the presence, everything. Then he finally leaned forward, reached for his mic, and delivered the sentence that would become the headline of the episode. "That was unbelievable. You didn't just sing. You brought Elvis back to life on this stage." The crowd screamed louder. The teen's emotions burst through. This was not just praise. This was Simon Cowell giving him historic approval, the kind that changes careers and creates overnight stars. The teen bowed deeply, tears forming, as applause continued to pour over him like a tidal wave. In that moment, it was clear. This wasn't just a performance. This was a winning moment, a defining chapter in the teen's life. And the beginning of something far bigger than he ever imagined.